Swadika, very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight.
Good evening. We hope you have had a relaxing weekend and also a productive Monday. And kicking off the program with politics because it seems that over the weekend up until today there has been a lot of development on the political front. So starting with a bombing also at the military barracks which hosted the Prime Minister residence, and no injuries have been reported, but there has been an incident of small explosion at the barracks. So police are now investigating an incident which took place last night when an apparently homemade cherry bomb was hurled into the compound of the 1st Infantry Regiment of the Royal Guards on Vipavarangsit Highway, where the official residence of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is located. So according to police, about 7:50 p.m. last night, a cherry bomb was thrown into the barracks by one of the two suspects on a motorcycle. So police have since arrested a 20-year-old rapper for questioning after discovering several firecrackers and smoke flares in his apartment in the Klong Toi area of Bangkok. So police searched the apartment of this man named Book, who is a member of the 11 Finger Rap band, last night after they were alerted by his neighbors to the sound of several explosions at about 6 p.m. The suspect admitted that he joined the Red Shirt event at the October 14 memorial yesterday afternoon, but denied throwing a cherry bomb into the compound. Although he said he did drive through the area on his motorcycle yesterday. So Red Shirt followers actually gathered at the October 14 memorial on Rashidamnon Avenue yesterday to commemorate the 12th anniversary of the violent crackdown against protesters by the government forces. And according to the Thai Lawyers for Human Rights, or TLHR, the rapper is being held in police custody on a charge of illegal possession of explosive devices. And the barracks have been actually the target of bomb and firecracker attacks during the height of the protest by the hardcore Talukas groups in the middle of last year, when they fought running street battles with police at and around Dindang intersection. But of course, you may have heard less about the incident because such gatherings have quieted down. So just to give you a tiny bit of background, cherry bombs, also known in Thai as ping pong bombs because of the small size that looks like ping pong, have frequently been used in actually certain politically motivated incidents in Thailand, especially in Bangkok. It is another kind altogether. Kunad, is worth noting that is another kind of bomb that we may frequently hear of in the south of Thailand and the rest of South. But and this seems to be not a very fatal, so to say, because of the small size. But nevertheless, it can be quite a scare, isn't it?
Definitely, it can be quite a scare as well, apart from the use of rubber bullets. But the cherry bomb incident is actually a very big one as well. And another big story in politics, if we remember last year, Thanathorn made a live stream commenting on the procurement of vaccines. So recently, the progressive movement leader was indicted by public prosecutors on a lèse majesté charge and for violations of the Computer Crime Act today for his live stream talk on the subject of the AstraZeneca vaccine allegedly implicating the monarchy. Last year, the former leader of the now defunct Future Forward Party was accused by the police of criticizing the government for the delay in the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines and for relying too much on the AstraZeneca vaccine, which was supplied by Siam Bioscience Company. And to give you a bit of a background, Siam Bioscience was founded in 2009 by the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej with an initial investment of 2 billion baht from the Crown Property Bureau Equity, a subsidiary of the Crown Property Bureau. It entered into a deal with AstraZeneca and Oxford University to produce the vaccine using AstraZeneca's technology for local consumption and for distribution to other countries in the region. Michigan. And Grisadang Nucharat from the Center of Thai Lawyers for Human Rights said that he had placed a 90,000 baht surety to bail Thanathorn out and was waiting for the court's order. So this is the latest development on Thanathorn at the moment.
Right, and of course AstraZeneca has proven to be a main vaccine in Thailand for quite some time until people getting boosted more with something like of mRNA vaccines like Pfizer and Moderna. But with AstraZeneca, it does help a lot for the Thai population as well.
Yep.
And moving on now to another political story, we did just already mention about the 12th anniversary of a really violent crackdown where a lot of people actually have died, especially members of the Red Shirt group, also known as UDD. So yesterday was actually the 12th anniversary, and a lot of notable politicians and also political activists gathered to commemorate the fallen. Followers of Thailand's United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, known as UDD, or also better known as the Red Shirt Movement, representatives of opposition parties and core members of the country's anti-establishment groups gathered yesterday at the October 14 memorial on Rashidamnern Avenue in Bangkok to commemorate the anniversary of April 10, 2010, where at least 90 people died and more than 2,000 were wounded, according to Human Rights Watch, in clashes between security forces and UDD-led anti-government protesters. So a red banner displaying the message, 12 years but still no justice for the heroes of April till May of 53 in Buddhist era, or 2010, was hung at the site of the event. And among those attending the event were Pheu Thai Party leader Cholana Sikeo, Prachachat Party Secretary General Police Colonel Tui Satsong, Pheu Thai core member Jatharun Chai Sang, former Red Shirt leader Natwut Saigua, Rasadon Group protest leader Parit Chiwarak, better known as Penguin, and Tita Tawanset, who was also quite key leading member of the UDD as well.
And if we go back in March 2012, the UDD, or the Red Shirts, held protests at Phan Pha Lilai Bridge and Raprasong intersection to demand that then Prime Minister Apisit Wechashiwa to dissolve the parliament. Events escalated when the Red Shirts clashed with the military, and dozens of people died in the clashes between March and May 2012, including a Reuters journalist as well as a photojournalist as well. So this was one of the major events in Thai politics, and yesterday members of the Red Shirts group actually held an event to commemorate that historical event as well.
Exactly. So we, live and learn, of course. We've seen all the sad events in Thai politics that unfolded over the past decades, and hopefully we'll learn from it and no such thing happens again.
Exactly. And moving on to the current situation of COVID-19 in Thailand. And as of yesterday, we saw a new record high of 108 deaths yesterday. And that was the highest death toll throughout the year since January 1st up until now. That would be the highest number so far. And recently, the Medical Sciences Department has predicted that the BA.2 subvariant of the Omicron variant will become a dominant strain in just 2 weeks. So the Medical Sciences Department has predicted that in less than 2 weeks, the BA.2 subvariant of the Omicron variant will account for 100% of new COVID-19 infections in Thailand. The department head, Dr. Supakit Sirilak, said today that the department conducted a random diagnosis of COVID-19 infections last week and found that the BA.2 subvariant accounted for 95.9% of new infections, with 4.1% being the BA.1 subvariant. But Despite all of that, so far, no BA.3 subvariant cases have been identified yet. He also dismissed a report that BA.2 can evade the immune response generated by vaccines, as such report is unfound yet. However, he said that 2 doses of vaccine are actually not enough, as immunity generated by the vaccines will steadily reduce. He also recommended 3rd booster jabs of either AstraZeneca or Pfizer for those who have received only 2 doses so far. Citing information from the Disease Control Department, Dr. Supukit said that the death toll for unvaccinated people is 767 per 1 million of the population, but the rate reduces to 366 per million for those who have received 1 vaccine dose, 145 per million for those who have received 2 doses, and 25 per million for those who have received their booster jab. He also said that so far there have not been any reports of death among those who have received 4 doses of vaccine. He also added that a 3rd or booster jab administered 2 weeks after the 2nd dose will help reduce the risk of sickness from either the BA.1 and the BA.2 strains of the Omicron variant. So if you haven't had a booster shot yet, it's better to do so, especially that during the Songkran holiday, it has already been predicted that the number of infections will increase from now on, as many people will engage in activities, people will be traveling to their home provinces as well. So many of the doctors have said that it's better to get a booster shot right now.
And yeah, speaking of the predictions that the trend is on the rise, the infections could actually double after the holidays as well. So better also be careful. Even if you're traveling, just avoid the crowded places, for example, without air ventilation. And still on the topic of COVID-19, basically a lot of patients have been treated with antiviral medicine, Favipiravir, for example. This includes people of all ages, including children, and sometimes it can be trickier, for parents to try to get their kids to swallow the pills. So Chulalongkorn University has also developed a solution to help young children infected with COVID-19 to take this medicine. So the Faculty of Pharmacy at Chulalongkorn University has developed a liquid solution in which crushed Favipiravir tablets can be dissolved to help young people infected with COVID-19 take the medicine. According to a lecturer at the faculty became aware of the difficulties faced by parents when giving the medication to very young children and decided to find a way to address it. So he explained the liquid solution tastes sweet, which will make it easier for children to take Favipiravir orally, adding that the advantages of the solution are that the medicine is suspended in the liquid and will not end up deposited at the bottom of the container and can be kept for even 10 days in a fridge or at a room temperature. He disclosed that the lab at the faculty, which is small, is capable of producing about 50 liters of liquid solution a day. The researchers have also prepared a handbook on how to use the solution.
So that is really interesting right here, because speaking of giving children medication, it can always be a big hassle because children, particularly young children, would feel a bit reluctant in taking the pills. So this solution actually solves the issue specifically for Favipiravir.
Exactly. Well, with pandemic, with disease, and a lot of problems with a lot of Thai is actually quite creative, as we mentioned before, in trying to find solutions to all the various problems. And yes, good news indeed.
Yep.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World tonight. Do catch us like this every weekday at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube and Facebook Live.
And don't forget to follow us on social media, including our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ